How many times have you heard someone say, be patient? Be patient. Now we're going to talk about why that's important. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for the support. Really appreciate it. If you find any of this stuff interesting or good in any way whatsoever, please do us a favor. Just hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss out on any of the videos when they're shown. So what we're going to be talking about today is playing the long game. Playing the long game in business and in life, the concept of patience and compounding. What on earth that is and how that could be helpful to you in your business or maybe in your life. Now, if you're here for the first time, this is the BVOY project where we talk about being the best version of yourself in any aspect whatsoever. So hopefully you'll find this useful. Now, the concept of playing the long game, we'll split it into two in terms of the patience and the compounding. And I want us to talk about those two things separately so that we can see how we can utilize them in our own lives. So firstly, let's start with definition. So playing the long game, what is it really? So it says playing the long game is choosing future success over quick wins. So choosing future success rather than the wins right now. And we all tend to fall for the whole concept of instant gratification. If something doesn't yield a result that is positive to me right now, I'm not going to be as interested in it. And this is a mistake that many people make, especially in business. We jump into a business idea because we've seen someone who's successful. What we don't realize that their overnight success actually took 5 years. And we jump in thinking, as soon as I jump in, I should see the same results. Instant gratification. But playing the long game goes opposing to that. It goes against it completely and says it's the future success rather than the instant win, by using patience and compounding. Now, what is patience? Now, let's go into that in a little bit. For those that may or may not know, I'm a Christian, and patience, it's no surprise that it's one of the 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit, which you will find in Galatians 5, verse 23 and 24. So there's 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit, and patience is one of them. That's how important it is to be patient. Now, what is being patient? It's taking time to reach a goal. It is waiting to achieve something. It is the concept of waiting, utilizing time to let things happen the way that they're supposed to. Be patient. And that's very important, because sometimes we are overcome and overwhelmed by the spirit of wanting things right now. Okay, so the world right now is screaming, the faster things are, the better they are. And in many cases, it is the case, but we start to jump into this fact of instant gratification is the biggest form of success. And if you're not getting things instantly, then you are failing. And this is a problem, especially for those who are parents. You will know this, because the whole concept of giving children the thing that they want at the time, every single time, it will create problems for you in the future, because that's the element of expectation that they're going to grow up in. Now, we are adults, and we're adults when we see ourselves, when we think about ourselves. But the truth is that child, however way you grew up, that child is still within us. And the behaviors that we show now are based on the childhood and how we grew up. So if you're someone who's been brought up in an environment where things happen instantly and you're used to instant gratification, that I can guarantee you will create problems. Now, on the concept of patience, there's 3 things I would want you guys to understand. Firstly, it is small steps. Now, what is patience? The first thing is small steps. Doing the little bit every day adds up. The little bit every day adds up. And one of the things that we share is the concept that success itself is not in the destination. It's in the journey. Success is in the journey. Now, what that means is every step you take towards the goal that you've set, every tiny little step, no matter how small, those small steps are part of the journey, and they are the success, because it's those small steps that eventually get you to the goal. Okay, so those small steps are part of the journey, and it is very important to celebrate them as well and use that energy to keep yourself going. Because if you only focus on the goal at the end, and every time you look at it, for anyone who's a runner, you will know that if you're running a straight line for a long period of time and you keep looking at all the way at the end where you're going to, it will demoralize you, it will discourage you, because the goal itself becomes so huge and the place that you go into becomes so far away. But if you focus on where you are, the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step, that is what will get you to the big goal. Okay, so step by step, the small steps is the first part of patience that I want you guys to understand. The second part is clear focus. Having patience actually gives you clear focus. It declutters the noise. And if you're in a patient mode, the first part of being patient, which is just waiting and letting things happen. Now, I want you to imagine the situation where you're in call it an argument, right? Someone is screaming something at you, and you have this innate feeling of wanting to scream something back. And at this point, you're in loggerheads. One of you needs to win. Okay, I need to say something that will make them realize and see things my way. And if they're not seeing things my way, I'm going to raise my voice so that I can be dominant until I win. Now, both of you are in that situation, and that conversation, for anyone who's ever been in that situation, there is no winner. So even if the other person stays quiet and concedes defeat, you don't actually feel like a winner afterwards. It's just that initial feeling of, oh yeah, I got them. And then after a little while, you actually carry that regret of, what the hell was I doing there? I didn't handle myself really well. That wasn't really ideal. And the concept of patience in this particular situation works a treat, because we have this innate emotion that is triggered by something that happens. So someone says something to you, it could be the words that they said, or it could be the tone of voice, the way that they spoke to you, where initially you have that spike of anger. And it's very important to be patient in this situation. This is where the clear focus comes from. That spike is temporary. Being patient and pausing, being quiet, and just let that feeling simmer down. Once it's simmered down, that naturally clears your focus so that you know how to respond. Not react, how to respond. Clear focus. Patience brings clear focus. And that's just one of the examples of how that can work. Number 3, smart choices. You make plans that pay off in years, not days. So smart choices, which is the concept of focusing on the future success, not the quick wins for today. So smart choices come from patience. Smart choices come from clarity. Smart choices come from waiting and taking your time to make wise decisions. If it's not a time issue, if it's not something that you need to make a quick decision about, take your time, evaluate what it is that you need to do, and think about the goal that you have in the future rather than the initial win. Sometimes we talk about the concept of losing the battle so you can win the war. There are certain situations where it feels natural to want to do something now because it gives you an instant win, but if it doesn't align with your future goal, then you're actually technically setting yourself back. Take your time, be patient, evaluate what's going on, and take the right decision based on the information that you have. That will help. And that's the concept of patience in 3 parts. The next part I want us to talk about is compounding. Now, we spoke at the start that we're talking about the long game here. The long game takes patience, but it also is better to start compounding. Compounding is where the effort that you're putting at the start is less than the effort you put later on, but the results actually get better, right? So now I want you to picture this. Picture yourself in a car, and the car breaks down and you're the only person in that car. The only option that's left now is to push that car to the next fuel station or to the next garage or whatever it is. Now, at the point that the car has stopped, let's say it's a straight road. The point that the car has stopped, your only option is to get out of the car, put the handbrake down, put your shoulder underneath the frame by the window, and start pushing pushing. Now, at the point that you start pushing, maximum amount of effort that you're going to put in is the initial movement to get the car to start, to get the car to move, the first time. But the more times you do it, the more you move faster and faster. After a while, the effort that you put in actually reduces, but the results actually increase because it's starting to move on its own momentum. Now you just need to control it, provided the road is still straight or maybe going down. Now, this is the concept of compounding. You're actually using the car's weight to keep the car moving, and then the results become better and your effort actually drops. Now, I'm going to speak about 3 different things in terms of compounding that you want to consider. The first one is growth on growth. Now, growth on growth is small gains built on top of older gains to grow faster later. Now, I used the concept of this car where the actual car itself, which was the initial problem and it was the hardest thing to move, that car itself actually then uses its own weight to keep itself moving and you just controlling it. Now, the compounding also works if you try to imagine the concept of interest on money. You may actually lend out money and it comes back with 10% of interest. Now, if you could lend that money again, you could also lend the 10% that you got, which wasn't there to start with, and then that 10% starts growing. So that's growth on growth. You had 100% amount of money, call it £100 or $100, whatever the currency is wherever you are, and then you lend it out. When it comes back, it comes as 110%, which is $110, £110. You can then give that $10, £10 back out to lend it for the same thing, and that £10 or 10% is actually the growth that you had initially that is now growing more. That's the concept of compounding. This is the growth that's happening on the growth that you had before. The second part is habit stacking. Now, good daily choices multiply your skills and money over time. Habit stacking. Now, the concept of habit stacking is, first of all, what is a habit? A habit is something that you do on a regular basis, something that you actually feel strange not doing if you don't do it on that day. Some people wake up in the morning and go for a run. Some people go to the gym. Some people do some journaling. I'm a journaler. And if I'm going to be waking up in the morning, in the first 3 hours of my morning, I need to do my journaling, whether it's a gratitude journal, it's a faith book journal, or it's just my daily journal, writing something down about what's going on. That has become such a habit that if I don't do it, it actually feels odd to me that I haven't done that yet. So that's what a habit is. Now, what habit stacking is when you have a habit that you already have established and you're doing it anyway, and you add another habit on top of that. For example, I started doing my journals as just a gratitude journal. So I had a book that I filled in. What are the 3 things you're grateful for? What are the 3 things that happened yesterday that you're grateful for? The great things that happened. What is maybe an incantation or a words of affirmation about yourself that you can use today? And then you can start writing anything else. Now, I wanted to actually add more writing in so that I can add my faith to it. What verse do I want to look at today, and what does that mean to me? What is my feelings right now, and what is generating them, so that I can look at things as if it's not me and analyze myself so that I can understand myself a bit better. Now, because I already set time for journaling anyway, this is something that was a habit that's been built already, I can stack another habit on top of the one that I've had and increase the efficiency, so I'm not starting all over again. And that's the concept of habit stacking. I hope that makes sense. And then the third part on compounding is time is key, and it comes back to the patience. Time is key. Now, the longer you wait, the bigger the final reward in your business and in your life. So it's not about instant gratification. It's about waiting. It's about giving it the time that it deserves. And do not be disheartened or discouraged if something doesn't happen initially. So when it comes to business, and I think to a certain extent it happens in life in general, but when it comes to business, there's a statement that we tend to use to say people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and underestimate what they can achieve in 5. Okay, this is the concept of letting time do its bit. Everything that you're going through, whether you're succeeding or failing in your own eyes, over time, it's all going to be worth it, because every single circumstance, every single situation teaches you something, and it will be worth it later on, because what you learn from those successes or failures over that period of time will help you make better decisions on the new challenges that you're going to be facing going forward. I hope this has been helpful to you guys, and I hope this is something that you'd be willing to share with other people. We welcome comments and additions. Anyone who's got anything to challenge on what it is that's been said, or anything you'd want to add, that would be greatly appreciated. And again, please feel free to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of this when it gets shared again. All right, take care guys, and I'll see you again soon.